I'm Owen Gibson from Foundation for Arable Research. I'm a herbage researcher at FAR, and today we're in a paddock of Saronia tetraploid perennial ryegrass in mid-Canterbury. Typically, we're pretty good with our closing dates. We know what we're doing, when we need to close, and the management of our paddocks. But over the past few seasons, with modern varieties, we're starting to see a shift in some of these management practices we need to achieve the best yield out of these paddocks. Part of this is our grazing management. Today we're going to have a look at what we need to do to achieve the best possible yields in our perennial ryegrass seed crops. In our perennial ryegrass forage crops, we defoliate our paddocks throughout spring to particularly control bulk within our plant. We're trying to keep these tillers and our growing points as close to the base of the soil as possible. In our old varieties, it was a lot more easy and we had a lot more tolerance of what we could do with the plant. We could graze late, we could crash graze, we could let some bulk come on and our growing points weren't moving and they're staying close to the surface. But in the modern varieties, particularly the low aftermath heading varieties that we're seeing, for example 360 array, we're seeing if we're not keeping them well managed and grazed to a low level or mown to a low level, we're starting to see the production of false nodes, which are sort of solid nodes that lift the growing point off the soil surface. And if we're not careful, when we're closing those paddocks, we can be removing reproductive growing points. And once we move a reproductive growing point, we can't get it back. All that it can go from that point on is to vegetative tillers. A good rule of thumb in our modern varieties is that we need to graze it so that we can maintain the rows. So if you can see your rows, you're at a good point of keeping that bulk under control. So our perennial ryegrasses, it's all bred for the end user. We're not breeding these plants, as I've got on my hand, for seed production. So New Zealand's very good at producing extremely high quality forage varieties, but we're seeing part of that is it's hard for us to maximise seed yield. So in our perennial ryegrass cultivars, the reason we're defoliating is to control bulk. The longer that we can keep a crop standing before lodging, we can gain 25 kilograms a day of extra yield before we're lodging those crops. If we don't get our timing quite right in our perennial varieties, we do have the option of using PGR to control lodging. But if we go too late, we lose the option and we start removing growing heads. Work at Foundation for Arable Research has shown that for the low aftermath heading varieties, going a little bit shorter than the relative heading date has actually shown a benefit in yield from that cultivar. So in 360, if we're pushing it back to plus 10, plus 15 days, that has shown us the highest yield so far in the trials that we've conducted, compared to the plus 20 that is listed as. So for the modern varieties, we want to make sure that we're keeping these crops grazed pretty low. We want to be able to either do short-term rotational grazing or set stocking to make sure we're not getting a large bulk and allowing these false nodes to lift the growing point above the soil surface. The best way to do that is getting out into your paddock and actually having a look. If you want to know if you're doing it right, we want to make sure that we're doing the grazing more frequently and harder. We want to really limit the amount of bulk that we've got on a paddock. A great way of looking at it is that if we can see the drill rows up until closing, you're doing a good job. This research wouldn't be possible without the help of the Seed Industry Research Centre, or SIRC, and we're very grateful of all the SIRC partners and their contribution.